prepare us for our assessed performance, where we had to play 3 songs in different genres, we were given sheet music for songs in different genres every Tuesday morning. We would then perform them the following Tuesday morning, as well as get given a new song to learn for the week after. These songs ranged in genre from funk, rock, punk, soul, and pop. From doing these songs, we'd get feedback from our tutors, such as ways we could improve our tone and ways we could improve on our band performance, such as locking in with other members. From the songs we did, we had to pick 1 song to get assessed on. I picked Play That Funky Music by Wild Cherry. I feel I performed the song well, but I struggled to learn it as I'm a very light player with my picking hand. And with this song, I feel like you need to pick it quite hard to get it to sound like how it sounds on the recording. My tutor also told me I was playing it slightly wrong, as I was picking one of the parts where it was a hammer on, which is making me go out of time. So what I was originally doing, which was wrong, was where it should be. And also, the hammer-ons were important because it was accenting on the and beats of 3 and 4, which give it that kind of push feel, which it gives the whole feel to the song, that kind of funk rhythm that you kind of nod your head along to. For the my tone for this song, I thought about pickup settings, and I thought the bridge pickup single coil sounded too thin on its own. So I thought about changing that to a humbucker. But I felt that was a bit too aggressive for the song. So I thought about adding the neck single coil to give it a more funky tone. I feel like I did perform the song to a good level, but I think my nerves affected my playing as I was panicking about making the mistakes I mentioned before that I was making in practice. But I did lock in with the band as I was accenting on beat 2, which is when Ellie was hitting the snare drum. So we locked in with each other and was both in time. So I was accenting on the I think I could have worked on my stage presence a bit more because I was looking at my guitar for most of the time, apart from when I was looking at other members to communicate changing of sections, and also the ending of the song where we had to look at our drummer for her to cue us for the end, as we arranged it slightly different to the original. So we ended on this. So where we would slow it down. So the original riff is but we slowed it down as we were going down the riff. Then the drummer would click on the snare, and then we would look at her for her to cue us in when she was coming in on the ride with the and that last chord that we ended on is slightly different to what is on the actual song, as it's a E7 sharp 9, which is an altered 6th chord in the key of G major, what we're in, but it would normally be an E minor 7, not a dominant. The second song we did was Day Tripper by the Beatles, and I feel out of the 3 songs, I performed best on this one, because I'm a big fan of the Beatles, and I knew the song well before we practiced it with the band. The only thing I think I could have improved on was my stage presence, but I think that would have been quite difficult, as the song has quite a busy riff to it, which is... For the tone for this song, I just use both pickups in a single coil position to give it that kind of a similar sound to what the Beatles would have used, as they used single coil pickups as well on their guitars. The riff starts with a dotted crotchet note, which adds suspense to the riff. And it's also, it looks like the riff is inspired from a blues walking bass line kind of feel. As it's based around the E dominant 7 chord. And it also uses the chromatic G to G sharp, which they use quite a lot in the blues, where you'll hammer on the 3rd from a minor 3rd to a major 3rd. We performed tight as a band, with all the stops and changing of sections done correctly, such as after the chorus, when it goes and then it goes back into the riff. Everyone else dropped out except for the guitar, which is what it does on the song. So we did that tight. And I think one way we could have improved this is if we communicated a bit more before we did this song. So like we could have talked about our stage presence and our appearance, as all of the musicians in the band were all quite different from each other. So it must have looked a bit odd compared to the Beatles, who originally did the song, where they would all look very similar and have similar stage presence when they performed the song on stage. The last song we did was Shadow of Your Smile, and we did the Stevie Wonder version. I felt the performance of this song went quite well, as I played in time, and I only made one small mistake in it, which was I missed out 2 chords. This is due to us performing 2 different versions of the song, where the structure is slightly different. But I don't think it was noticeable, as I carried on as normal, and I didn't play any wrong notes over it. I just left the 2 chords out, so it wouldn't have stood out much at all. I improvised a solo, which was quite difficult, as the chords kept changing every couple of bars. The chords of this song are B minor 7, E dominant 9 to E dominant flat 9, A minor 7, D dominant 7, D minor 7, G dominant 7, C major, and then C major 7. As you can see, the chords change key every couple of bars. Like the first 3 chords, the 3rd chord is in a different key to the first 2, as the first 2 are in A major, but the 3rd one, the E7 flat 9, is like an altered 3 chord from C major. Then it does an A minor 7 and a D7, which you could look at as a 2-5 in G. But then it goes to a D minor 7, which obviously is in a different key, as it goes to from D7 to D minor 7 to G7 and then to C major 7, which is like a 2-5-1 in C major. So the way I improvised over this was to use scales over the parts where two chords were in the same key, such as the first two chords, which are B minor 7 and E dominant 7, E dominant 9, where I'd use notes from B Dorian, so like but for the other chords, I'd do arpeggios over those. I think what I could do next time to improve would be to write out the structure and also any notes that I would need, and I could put those notes on the side, the music stand next to the chords. I think I could also change the rhythm a bit as well, as I was doing the rhythm like. Maybe I could have done like a. But I think as a band in the song, we performed it well, as we all communicated with each other on the changing sections, and we also locked in with each other when we played it. As when I was playing the chords, I was listening to Ellie as she was accenting the snare on beats 2 and 4, which is when I was playing the chords. But also I was following Dave as well, as he was accenting on the same notes as well on beats 2 and 4, even though he did have little passing notes in between. The ones he was accenting was 2 and 4. But I think what I've learned from doing this is I need to prepare more notes on the structure of the songs. I also think I need to slow the songs down when I'm learning them. Like, I missed out the technique on Play That Funky Music, as I was just trying to use my ear instead of actually reading the sheet music.